Now, new details in a shooting on a busy road near Sanford. It left one person dead, multiple others hurt. Shots were fired earlier this morning near Reinhardt Road and County Road 46A, just steps away from an apartment complex.
Yeah, we just got those details a few hours ago. The Seminole County Sheriff's Office says 31-year-old Princess Tolliver from Tallahassee was killed in the early morning shooting here at this intersection. They also say multiple people were injured, but won't say who and exactly how many.
A 31-year-old woman gets a text from her friend. "Hey girl, want to come to a concert with me this weekend?" She says yes. 12 hours later, she's dead, gunned down in a hail of bullets meant for someone else entirely. This isn't some random tragedy. This is what happens when rap feuds, gang violence, and social media beef collide with innocent lives. And Princess Tolliver? She had absolutely no idea she was walking into a war zone. Welcome back to our channel, where we break down the cases that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about safety, friendship, and trust. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into a story that'll have you thinking twice before accepting any late-night invitations. Drop your city in the comments right now because this could happen anywhere to anyone. January 16th, 2023, Sanford, Florida, 2:20 a.m. A Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van is cruising down County Road 46A, filled with 13 people who just had the time of their lives at a Jackboy concert. They're laughing, dancing, still buzzing from the show. Princess Tolliver is among them, a nursing student, FSU employee, devoted sister, and member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority who drove down from Tallahassee just to enjoy one night out with friends. But 4 cars are following them. Inside those vehicles, members of a gang called On Top Forever, armed, dangerous, and looking to make a name for themselves in a rap feud they weren't even part of. What happens next will shock you, but here's the thing that'll really mess with your head. Princess wasn't the target. She wasn't involved in any drama. She didn't even know there was beef between 2 rappers. She was just a woman who said yes to a friend's concert invitation. The shooters opened fire on the wrong van. They hit 6 women, 5 survived. Princess didn't. This case exposes something terrifying about our world today, how social media feuds between celebrities can turn deadly for regular people just trying to live their lives, how gang members will kill innocent strangers just to get street credibility, how one simple yes to a friend can change everything. We're about to break down exactly how a nursing student's dream of helping others turned into a nightmare that would destroy multiple families and expose the dark reality of gang violence in Florida. This story has everything: betrayal, mistaken identity, a 13-month investigation, and arrests that'll blow your mind. But first, let me tell you who Princess really was, because she deserves to be remembered as more than just another victim. Princess Aura Alexandria Tolliver wasn't just a name in a news headline. She was a force of nature who lit up every room she walked into. Born May 22, 1991, in Tallahassee, Florida, she was the baby of 4 sisters in a family that was tighter than most people's closest friendships. Her sisters, Vashti, Nikki, and Aura, weren't just siblings. They were her world. Her grandmother, Barbara Flynn Tolliver, described Princess as someone who would do anything to help her other sisters.
We are just completely at awe about why something like this would have happened to her. She was a very hard worker, and she would do anything to help her other sisters. She has 3 other sisters, and they were very, very close.
But here's what really gets me. Princess wasn't just the youngest. She was the glue that held everyone together. At Leon High School, Princess was that friend everyone wanted. You know the type, the one who remembered your birthday, showed up when you needed her, and somehow made even the worst days bearable. One classmate said she was inseparable from her friends, describing her as having a beautiful soul full of life and love. That wasn't just high school nostalgia talking, that was Princess. But Princess had bigger dreams than just being everyone's favorite person. She enrolled at Seminole State College with one goal: becoming a nurse. Not for the money, not for the prestige, because she genuinely wanted to help people who were hurting. Her professors and classmates saw it too. This wasn't someone going through the motions. This was someone who found her calling. While studying, Princess worked at Florida State University starting in November 2019. She began as a part-time security aide, then moved to parking visitor attendant in 2022. Sounds boring, right? Wrong. Even in a job most people would consider mundane, Princess made it meaningful. Co-workers said she would go out of her way to aid anybody who requested her assistance. Here's my question for you. When's the last time you went out of your way to help a complete stranger? Drop your answer in the comments. Princess wasn't just working and studying, she was building a legacy. As a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, she dedicated countless hours to volunteer work and community service. This wasn't resume padding. This was who she was at her core. Her faith as a Jehovah's Witness wasn't just Sunday morning religion, it guided every decision she made. Her family and friends found comfort in their shared beliefs after her death, but more importantly, Princess lived those beliefs every single day. She treated everyone with kindness, helped without expecting anything back, and genuinely believed in making the world better. Barbara Flynn Tolliver, her grandmother, painted the perfect picture. A very outgoing young lady, a very sweet person, lovable person, and a very hard worker. But here's the detail that breaks my heart. Her favorite color was pink. Such a simple thing, but it tells you everything about Princess. She wasn't trying to be tough or edgy. She embraced joy and femininity and brightness in a world that often rewards the opposite. Princess was 31 years old when she died. 31. She was hitting her stride, excelling in nursing school, building her career, strengthening family bonds, and making real differences in her community. She had plans, dreams, goals that extended far beyond herself. The people who knew Princess described her with words like beautiful, caring, generous, and dedicated. But the word that keeps coming up is helpful. In a world where everyone's looking out for themselves, Princess was looking out for everyone else. She was the kind of person who would drive 3 hours to attend a friend's concert just because they asked. The kind of person who made everyone around her feel special and valued. The kind of person who chose nursing because healing others felt like a calling, not just a career. That's who Princess Tolliver was. Remember that name, remember that face, remember that heart. Because what happened to her next will make you furious. January 15th, 2023, Princess gets that text we talked about. A friend inviting her to see Jack Boy perform at the barn in Sanford. For most people, this would be a quick maybe or let me check my schedule. Not Princess, she didn't hesitate. Road trip from Tallahassee to Central Florida for a night of music with friends? Absolutely. The barn was packed that night. Jack Boy, real name Pierre Delintz, was putting on a show, and the energy was electric. Princess was in her element, surrounded by friends, dancing, laughing, living her best life. This was exactly the kind of night she lived for. Good music, good people, good vibes. But here's where this story takes a turn that'll make your blood run cold. After the concert ended, Princess and about 12 other people piled into a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. They were part of Jack Boy's entourage heading toward Orlando, still buzzing from the performance. Sheriff Dennis Lemma later said Princess was simply out that night, enjoying time with her friends, enjoying a concert. The van was following an SUV that Jack Boy was riding in, multiple vehicles convoy style heading down the road at 2:20 in the morning. Everyone's laughing, probably still talking about the best moments from the show. Princess's best friend Sharina Williams was right there with her. They were having the time of their lives. Everybody was just laughing, having fun, dancing on the Sprinter van, Sharina later told reporters. Can you picture it? 13 people crammed into a van, music probably still playing, everyone riding that post-concert high. Princess was probably planning her drive back to Tallahassee, maybe thinking about classes the next week, completely unaware that 4 cars were following them. County Road 46A and Reinhardt Road. That intersection is about to become the most important location in this entire story. 4 vehicles, multiple shooters, all members of a gang called On Top Forever, OTF for short. They'd been tracking this convoy waiting for the right moment. But here's the part that'll mess with your head. They weren't after Princess. They weren't after any of the women in that van. They wanted Jack Boy. Quick question, have you ever been in the wrong place at the wrong time? Tell me about it in the comments, because Princess' story shows how dangerous that can really be. At exactly 2:20 a.m., hell broke loose. Deputies who were patrolling the area heard the gunshots first, multiple rounds being fired from what appeared to be a dark-colored four-door vehicle toward the Sprinter van. But it wasn't just one shooter, it was coordinated, planned, ruthless. The next thing I know, we just heard a whole bunch of shots, and they just never stopped, Sharina Williams remembered. Think about that for a second. The shots never stopped. This wasn't a quick drive-by. This was an execution attempt. Inside that van, chaos erupted. 13 people who moments before were celebrating life were now fighting for their lives. The driver immediately floored it toward the hospital, but the damage was already done. 6 women were hit. 6 out of 13 people in that van, nearly half were shot. Sharina Williams got hit in her upper arm. She was wearing a jean jacket and remembered just feeling something warm. She didn't even realize she'd been shot at first. But Princess took the worst of it. While 5 women survived their injuries, Princess Tolliver, the nursing student who dedicated her life to helping others heal, couldn't be saved. The woman who drove 3 hours just to support a friend's concert died in a hail of bullets meant for someone else entirely. The van's driver raced to the hospital, but it was too late. Princess was gone. Her friend Shanae Ham got the call that no one ever wants to receive. "Hey Bella, I'm just calling to tell you I'm sorry." Ham knew immediately. "I just lost it." At that moment, everything just went black. Here's what makes this even more heartbreaking. Princess had no idea there was any beef between rappers. She didn't know about gang rivalries or social media feuds. She was just a woman who said yes when a friend asked her to come to a concert. The shooters got exactly what they wanted. Headlines, street credibility, their names in the news. What they also got was the blood of an innocent woman on their hands. But this story is just getting started. Here's where this story gets absolutely wild, and where you'll start to understand how social media beef can literally get people killed. 2 names you need to remember: Jack Boy and Kodak Black. Real names Pierre Delancey and Bill Capri. These weren't strangers throwing shots at each other from across the country. These were former friends, former business partners, former brothers who turned into bitter enemies. Both grew up in South Florida. Jack Boy was actually signed to Kodak Black's label Sniper Gang. They were tight, making music together, building careers together, probably thought they'd be friends forever. But around 2020, something went horribly wrong. The friendship didn't just end, it exploded. And when I say exploded, I mean it became the kind of public, messy, social media war that gets people killed. Sheriff Dennis Lemma described it perfectly: a very public, high-profile dispute playing out on social media and in the court system. This wasn't just rap beef, this was legal battles, Instagram posts, Twitter wars, the whole 9 yards. Every insult, every threat, every piece of drama was broadcast to millions of followers. But here's the part that'll blow your mind. Kodak Black had absolutely nothing to do with Princess's murder. 0. The sheriff made it crystal clear: we do not have any evidence that he is directly linked to this crime. Kodak wasn't involved, didn't plan it, probably didn't even know it was going to happen. So who did kill Princess? Members of a gang called On Top Forever, OTF. These guys were watching this feud play out online like it was their favorite TV show. They saw 2 rappers going at each other and thought, this is our chance. Here's my question: how many of you follow celebrity drama on social media? Drop a comment, because this story shows how that drama can have deadly real-world consequences. OTF is a subset of the Crips, a national street gang with serious presence in Seminole County. These weren't random thugs, they were organized, connected, and looking for an opportunity to make their mark. Sheriff Lemma explained they likely saw the public feud as an opportunity to make a name for themselves working in this space. Think about how twisted that is. Gang members were literally scrolling through Instagram and Twitter, watching two rappers beef, and decided to commit murder just to get street credibility. They weren't getting paid, they weren't following orders from Kodak Black, they just wanted to be part of the story. The investigation revealed something terrifying. The investigation did not reveal that there was any financial compensation or that Kodak Black had arranged direct involvement with them to do this. These gang members acted completely on their own, using a celebrity feud as an excuse to commit violence. But here's where it gets even more messed up. They targeted the wrong vehicle. Jack Boy was in an SUV ahead of the Sprinter van. The shooters knew there was a convoy, knew Jack Boy was somewhere in those vehicles, but they opened fire on the van full of women instead of the car with their actual target. Princess died because gang members couldn't even get their assassination attempt right. This case exposes something absolutely horrifying about our culture. Social media has turned celebrity feuds into public entertainment, and violent criminals are treating those feuds like instructions for their own crimes. When rappers post threats and insults online, gang members are watching and thinking, how can we get involved in this? The relationship between Jack Boy and Kodak Black shows how quickly brotherhood can turn deadly. These weren't enemies from different worlds, they were friends who fell out, and their public drama created a target on innocent people's backs. Sheriff Lemma hit the nail on the head when he talked about the gang members' motivation. They weren't trying to settle some personal score with Jack Boy. They were trying to make a name for themselves by inserting themselves into a high-profile feud. They wanted to be the guys who took out Jack Boy, wanted the street credibility that comes with being connected to celebrity violence.
We do believe, as a newly established Crips organization, they were looking for street validation. It was clear that they had been watching this very public debate between Kodak Black and Jack Boy, which was not only playing out on social media and in other forms of entertainment media, but also in the court system, and probably took this as an opportunity to make a name for themselves working in this space. The investigation did not reveal that there was any financial compensation or that Kodak Black had arranged direct involvement with them to do this.
But they failed. Jack Boy survived. Prince's didn't. This is what happens when social media beef meets gang violence. When public feuds become entertainment for people who see murder as a career move. When celebrities' personal drama becomes other people's death sentences. The most infuriating part? Princess had no idea any of this was happening. She didn't follow the beef between Jack Boy and Kodak Black. She didn't know about OTF or their plans. She was just a nursing student who wanted to enjoy a concert with friends. She became collateral damage in a war she didn't even know existed. Killed by people who didn't know her name. Caught in crossfire between rappers who probably never intended for innocent people to get hurt. This feud didn't just destroy the friendship between two artists. It created a chain reaction that ended with a beautiful, caring woman bleeding out in a hospital while her best friend wondered if she was going to die too. And the worst part? The investigation was just getting started. 13 months. That's how long it took investigators to build a case so airtight that when they finally moved, they didn't just arrest one or two people, they arrested 13 suspects in one massive sweep that shook Central Florida to its core. But let's rewind to that night. Deputies were already in the area when the shooting happened. They heard the gunshots, witnessed the attack in real time, and immediately started pursuing the shooters. One suspect got pulled over almost immediately, and here's where this gets interesting. The driver had ammunition in his car that was identical to ammunition found at the crime scene. Identical. This wasn't some random traffic stop that got lucky. This was evidence that would become crucial to cracking the entire case wide open. Sheriff Dennis Lemma revealed the scope of this investigation, and the numbers are staggering. More than 120 search warrants, 6 cars seized, and a web of evidence that connected 13 different people to Princess's murder. This wasn't just a shooting, this was a RICO case, meaning investigators proved these suspects were part of an organized criminal enterprise. Quick question for you. Do you think 13 months is too long for a murder investigation? Or does it show how thorough law enforcement was being? Let me know in the comments. The suspects they arrested read like a who's who of the On Top Forever gang. Alvarez Cosby, 36 years old. Rovanti Daniels, 29. Rick Juarez Davis, 24. Robin Hickman Jr., 31. Quadri S. Hawley, 36. Thalis Inman Jr., 22. Darling Siplin, 35. Jaquan Watson, 23. Trayvon Whitaker, 22. Jamichael Wright, 24. Plus 2 additional suspects whose names were released later. But here's the kicker. One suspect is still out there. Trevon Law, 25 years old, is still wanted for first-degree premeditated murder. He's been on the run for over a year now, and authorities are actively searching for him. Every single one of these suspects faces the same charges: first-degree premeditated murder, attempted first-degree murder, and RICO violations. That's life in prison territory. That's the kind of charges that make grown men break down and confess everything they know. The recharges are particularly significant because they prove this wasn't just a random act of violence. RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization, is what prosecutors use when they can prove criminal conspiracy. It means these suspects weren't just individual criminals. They were part of an organized gang that planned and executed this attack together. Sheriff Lemma made it clear that this investigation involved multiple agencies working around the clock. The state attorney's office, Seminole County Sheriff's Office, and federal authorities all collaborated to build this case. They weren't just looking for the shooters. They were dismantling an entire criminal organization. The evidence they collected tells the story of a coordinated attack. 4 vehicles following the convoy, multiple shooters, ammunition that matched across different crime scenes, cell phone records, surveillance footage, witness testimony, everything pointing to a planned assassination attempt that went horribly wrong. But here's what really gets me. 8 suspects were arrested on the same Friday in a coordinated sweep. 5 others were already in custody for different crimes when investigators connected them to Princess's murder. This gang wasn't just responsible for killing Princess, they were involved in multiple criminal activities across Central Florida. The dashcam footage from that night shows just how close law enforcement came to preventing this tragedy. Deputies witnessed the shooting, pursued the suspects immediately, and made arrests within hours. But it was too late for Princess. During the press conference announcing the arrests, Sheriff Lemma spoke directly to Princess's father, Edward Tolliver, who was in attendance. While these arrests do not bring your daughter back, I hope that you're able to find some solace in knowing that the suspect's fate are now in the hands of the justice system.
While these arrests do not bring your daughter back, I hope that you're able to find some solace in knowing that the suspect's fate are now in the hands of the justice system.
Edward Tolliver's response was raw and honest. He expressed relief at the arrests but emphasized that jail is too good for those responsible. Can you imagine? 13 months of waiting, wondering if anyone would ever be held accountable for your daughter's murder, and then finally getting justice, but knowing it'll never bring her back?
I'm glad that those 13, 14 people are off the street and no one else can be harmed by them. They deserve... jail's too good of a place for them.
The investigation revealed something else crucial. This gang saw the Jackboy Kodak Black feud as their ticket to street credibility. They weren't hired killers, they were opportunists who turned celebrity drama into their own personal war. But the story doesn't end with arrests. It ends with a community demanding answers, and a family forever changed. Edward Tolliver stood at that press conference, looking directly into the cameras, and said something that'll stick with you. Jail is too good for the people who killed his daughter. This is a father who spent 13 months wondering if anyone would ever pay for Princess's murder, and even with 13 arrests, he knows nothing will bring her back. But the Tolliver family didn't just sit around waiting for justice. They became advocates. They pushed for stricter gun control measures, spoke out about gang violence, and made sure Princess' name stayed in the headlines for the right reasons. they turned their grief into action. The community response was immediate and powerful. Within days of Princess' death, friends and family organized a vigil at the Walker Ford Community Center. But this wasn't just a small gathering. Hundreds of people showed up. They released balloons, lit candles, and shared stories about a woman who touched more lives than she probably ever realized. Sharina Williams, Princess's best friend who survived the shooting, became the voice for everyone who couldn't speak. She told reporters she hoped Princess would be remembered as being a positive person, the best auntie, sister in the world. But Sharina also had to live with survivor's guilt. Why did she make it when Princess didn't? Here's what I want to know. How do you think communities should respond when innocent people get caught in gang violence? Drop your thoughts below. The ripple effects went far beyond Tallahassee and Sanford. Princess worked at Florida State University, was a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and was enrolled at Seminole State College. 3 different communities lost someone who was actively making their world better. Her sorority sisters organized their own memorial services. Her co-workers at FSU created a scholarship fund in her name. Her classmates at Seminole State dedicated their nursing graduation to her memory. Princess's death didn't just impact her family. It shattered multiple communities that had watched her grow and succeed. But here's the part that shows you who Princess really was. The family's official statement after the arrests focused on protecting others. They said, through the success of this investigation, hundreds if not thousands of lives have been protected. Even in their grief, they were thinking about preventing other families from going through what they experienced. Sheriff Lemma emphasized that these arrests would make the community safer, but the reality is more complicated. Trayvon law is still out there. The conditions that created this tragedy, social media feuds, gang violence, easy access to weapons, those haven't changed. The legal proceedings are ongoing, but the charges these suspects face are serious enough to put them away for life. First-degree premeditated murder, attempted murder, RICO violations. These aren't charges you plea bargain down to nothing. Princess's favorite color was pink, and at every memorial service, every vigil, every community gathering in her honor, people wore pink. It became a symbol of remembering someone who chose joy and brightness in a world that often rewards the opposite. The Tolliver family found comfort in their faith as Jehovah's Witnesses, believing Princess rests peacefully in Jehovah, God's memory. But they also made sure her legacy would be about more than just being a victim. It would be about inspiring others to choose kindness, education, and service over violence and revenge. Justice is coming, but healing? That's going to take much longer. So what can we learn from Princess Tolliver's murder? How do we prevent another nursing student from dying because gang members wanted to play out their fantasies with real bullets? First, let's talk about concert security. The barn hosted an artist with known feuds, but there's no evidence they conducted threat assessments or coordinated with law enforcement. Venues need to understand that when you book controversial artists, you're not just selling tickets, you're potentially putting every person in that building at risk. Enhanced exit protocols could have saved Princess's life. If law enforcement had escorted Jackboy's convoy safely out of the area, those gang members never would have had their opportunity. It's that simple. But the bigger issue is social media. Jackboy and Kodak Black's feud played out online for millions to see, and gang members treated it like a recruitment video. When celebrities post threats and insults, they're not just entertaining fans. They're giving violent criminals a roadmap for their own crimes. Here's my final question for you. Should artists be held responsible when their public feuds inspire real-world violence? This is controversial, so I want to hear your honest thoughts in the comments. The music industry needs to step up. Labels, managers, and artists themselves need to understand that public feuds have consequences beyond hurt feelings and lost friendships. When you have millions of followers, your words carry weight, and sometimes that weight crushes innocent people. Gang violence prevention starts with community investment. Programs that give young people alternatives to street life, job training, education opportunities, these aren't just nice ideas, they're life-saving interventions. Every dollar spent on community programs is a dollar that could prevent another Princess Toliver tragedy. Law enforcement did their job in this case. 13 arrests, RICO charges, a thorough investigation that took over a year. But they can't prevent every tragedy. Early warning systems that monitor social media for escalating disputes could help identify potential violence before it happens. The RICO charges in this case send a message. Gang violence will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But deterrence only works if potential criminals believe they'll get caught. That means continued investment in investigative resources and interagency cooperation. Princess Toliver wanted to be a nurse. She wanted to heal people, help her community, make the world better one patient at a time. Instead, she became a cautionary tale about how quickly violence can destroy innocent lives. Her legacy shouldn't just be about remembering a victim, it should be about preventing future victims. Every venue that improves security protocols, every artist who chooses conflict resolution over public feuds, every community program that gives young people better options than gang membership. That's how we honor Princess's memory. She was 31 years old. She had plans, dreams, goals that extended far beyond herself. She chose kindness in a world that often rewards cruelty, education over ignorance, service over selfishness. Princess Toliver deserved to live out her dreams of becoming a nurse. Since we can't give her that, the least we can do is make sure no other family experiences this kind of senseless loss. Remember her name, remember her story, and remember that one yes to a friend's invitation changed everything. That's all for today. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.